everybody. It's Leah Richeimer. I'm so excited. We are up to episode 30. That means you are getting through and you are getting better and better in your marriages, I hope. Write me emails. I'm getting these wonderful things saying, oh, my life has changed. So here's the thing. The more you work on your shalom bayis, the more bracha will come, and the Shekhinah, the God's presence will come into your home and make everything magical and wonderful. And it's from your efforts. So let's get started. I'm going to, right now, we're on page 78. Okay, in wait, which side? In Marriage Secrets, we're right here. This is page 78. Wait, what chapter are we? Hello. Hold on a second. I will tell you. Chapter 4, page 78. And I'm going to read about understanding your needs. This is so crucial, ladies. Do you understand? You know, we expect our husband to know what our needs are, and we don't even know what our needs are. So we're going to go through exactly how to do that, find our needs. And then the studio audience is going to come up with questions. And if you have questions, send them in to info@ladiestalkshow.com. Okay, here we go. This is page 78. Understanding true needs. I read pretty quickly because I don't want to bore you, but on the same token, I want you to understand it. So I'll do the best I can. Okay. Once I was sitting in our old Queen Anne chair by the front window. I was staring into space, looking out at the houses across the street long after I should have drawn the curtains. It was quite dark by then, but I couldn't be bothered to get up. Toys were strewn across the living room and the dinner dishes were calling out to me. I couldn't exactly put my finger on what was bothering me, but if I got up to move about, I feared that the mental trail I was rummaging down would be lost forever. So I sat like a lump. Never happened before or since. No. Okay, all the time. Okay, what could possibly be wrong? We had eaten as a family, and then I did the diapers and pajamas while he cleared the table. It was a perfectly equitable division of labor. So why was I feeling so forlorn? My husband was now at his computer clacking away, and I was loath to pull him away, not wanting to use up even more of his time after he had been so helpful. And yet, I just wanted to share my day with him and catch up on some of his news. We had chatted briefly earlier, but it wasn't enough. I seriously wondered what on earth was wrong with me. That's when I realized that in retrospect, I would have gladly cleared the table by myself in order to have more time with him now, which is what I truly needed. All along, I had been putting the value of equal work above all other values. But that was a value handed to me by somebody else. My own deep truth was that I needed quality time to feel satisfied in my relationship. You following this, everybody? You guys? Yeah, nods? Okay, yeah, they're following. Okay. In addition, given the choice of talking with me versus clearing the table was a no-brainer for my husband. And having a mommy who was content was certainly better for our kids as well, rather than witnessing an equal duty household. Maybe in some households, a wife can get both the table cleaned and extra schmoozing time, but at night, my husband usually has many urgent things to take care of, so I feel quite protective of his time, even if it costs me. It took some creativity to make this trade-off work in our life. For instance, don't tell anyone, but it involved leaving the dishes in the sink overnight. The horrors! But I got my need met of more time with my husband, and once you get a deep need met, you're more than happy to let a lot of other things slide. Okay, so now here's how we're going to get to our top 3 needs. This is something you need a pen and a paper, and you need a notebook, and you need a journal. Get yourself prepared. Once you do this, might take a couple of hours to do it. Then guess what? You know what your needs are. What a gorgeous thing that is. And once you know what your needs are, you have a much higher chance. I was going to say much higher chance of getting them met, but an only chance. If you don't know what your needs are, how are you ever going to get them met? Okay, so here we go. The top 3 needs, exercise. So how do you gain clarity on what your true needs really are? This 3-step exercise takes about 15 minutes. More like an hour, but don't tell anybody. Okay, I got to go cross out every book and cross out 15 minutes and say an hour. Anyway, whatever. At the end, you will have your own personalized top 3 needs list, prioritized by importance. This is your best plan for having your most important needs met satisfactorily. Okay, so there's 3 steps. The first step, make a comprehensive list of desires. So the studio audience, you guys can think of questions that you have while we're doing this, so that afterwards I'll answer them. Okay. Make a comprehensive list of desires. We start by putting all of our hopes and dreams onto paper. Begin by writing down the heading, I wish my husband would ... Below it, write down every desire that you want your husband to give to you, to say to you, and to do for you. We want this beginning list to be as comprehensive and creative as possible. So be as outlandish as you like. Your list may include trite desires as well as deep emotional ones. Just keep on writing. Don't worry about organizing your thoughts in your mind first. Just get it all down on paper. Keep rattling off desire after desire without a care as to whether it is realistic or not. This is a private and confidential list that you are never going to show anyone. In fact, you should hide your notebook where it will not be seen. It's just for you so that you can get all of your desires down on paper so you can analyze and understand them better. Here are some examples to get you started. Okay, the reason you're hiding it is because if your husband saw it, he'd be like, what does she want from me? You know, she'd think you were really wanted all those things from him and we're demanding them right now. So you're going to hide it because you're going to wheedle them down. Is that the right word? Wheedle them down. Whittle. Waddle. Don't waddle while you whittle. Okay. I wish my husband would ... Be more great for the hard work I do. Help to return the kids' toys to their bin. Help me get the kids to sleep. Give me more attention and approval. Be more on time for everything. Buy me a new shaitel. Keep his closet organized. Bring me gifts like when we first met. Go to bed earlier. Make me feel like his top priority. Spend more time. I'm trying to get the book in the picture. See, isn't that much prettier? Look at that. It looks like a real advertisement. See, I can go on infomercials. Okay. What was I? Make me feel like the top priority. Spend more time with the kids. Make more money. Listen to me with more enthusiasm. Control his anger better. Stop comparing me to his sister. Eat with his mouth closed. Good luck with that one. Dress better. Apologize with more sincerity. Think before he speaks. Stop taking me for granted. Listen to his father's advice more. Be closer to his Rav. Work harder on shalom bayis, etc., etc., etc. ad nauseum. Understand that this wish is not comprised of newly manufactured ideas. They may have been floating around in your head since you were a child. It is far better to face them squarely than to pretend these wishes don't exist. We all have unrealistic desires, but only by examining them carefully can we determine which desires are most crucial for our own happiness and which ones we should discard. That's the secret here. Often my students are flabbergasted by just how voluminous that list is. Many wives carry the secret wish list in their heads at all times. It's not hard to see that our poor husbands don't stand a chance. And even if we know that the list is not doable, there is a small child part of us that is disappointed that we don't have everything we desire. Recognizing this part of ourselves is a powerful tool for overcoming our unrealistic expectations of our husbands. That in itself will make you happier to know that. It will also give your husband the breathing space necessary for him to be able to truly discover what is most important to you and to satisfy those needs to the best of his ability. When you are reasonably satisfied that you have a comprehensive list, it's time to move on to the next step. So I'm going through, this is a little bit longer than I usually do of reading, but I want you to get all this things so you can actually work on it this week, ladies. This is your homework, okay? The first thing, write everything down and keep going like a fat notebook of everything you want from your husband. Step 2 is removing wants from your list. Very, very crucial. If I handed 1,000 women a thick notebook and said, okay, ladies, write down everything you want from your husband, the woman would begin feverishly filling the page after page. Then if I handed each one a tiny index card, oh, by the way, they'd fill all the pages and then they'd say, can I have another notebook? Okay. Anyway, then if I handed each one a tiny index card and said, okay, ladies, write down everything you need from your husband, not what you want, but what you need, the women would stare at the blank card completely perplexed. We are so confused about the difference between our wants versus our needs that communicating that information to our husband becomes almost impossible. Which is the side that has the thing over there? Oh, so I should hold it like this. I need to hello, this is okay? You see it good? Okay. I just want it to be a visually appealing. Okay, so here we go. The heart of the problem is that our wants and needs have become a great jumble in our own minds. Let's clarify. A want is a wish, an extra enhancement to life, but you could certainly live without it. A need is a necessity, something that is painful to live without. As I mentioned before, getting what you want, will never make you happy. The only thing that has a chance of making you happy is to have a few of your actual needs met. Never confuse the cheap substitute of getting your wants met with the deep satisfaction available from having your needs met. Following this, everybody? Yeah, good? Okay. The truth is, our husbands waste a lot of time and energy racing around frantically trying to meet our wants. That gives them zero energy left to give us what we truly need in order to make us happy, right? Oh my gosh. We must trim our list of all our superficial wants. So start trimming your list. Be brutal at crossing everything out your non-essential wants. For instance, as you are trying to pare your list down, you might say, I always thought I needed Shabbos flowers, but you know what? That's only because my sister's husband buys them every week. I don't need to compete with her. What I really need is when my husband walks in the door, instead of sorting through that day's mail, I need him to ask me how my day went. That's all. That's my real need. While doing this exercise, you may realize that you've been making a big issue about a minor thing that you want, and it's not even that important to you. Now, instead of demanding 42 things from your husband, you'll have a list of 3 prioritized needs. When he satisfies them, you will feel completely overflowing with joy, and he will feel like the greatest husband ever. Okay, until we narrow down our list of needs, express them clearly, and acknowledge fully when those needs have been met, we will always feel lacking, and our husbands will always feel like failures. Having clarity about your own needs and prioritizing them will allow your husband to really deliver. Let's see, having clarity about your own needs and prioritizing them will allow your husband to really deliver. He will likely jump at the chance to fulfill your needs if they are in manageable portions. So I'm just thinking if we should go to questions now, or I should read step 3, prioritizing your needs, or maybe next class we can do the prioritizing. What do you guys think?
I think there was kind of a lot to digest already. So,
fine.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, so we'll say the prioritizing the needs, and that's totally fine doing it separate. Getting that done is enough of a homework for the week. Okay, fine. Okay, so we ended on page 82, and we are going to continue next class, page 82. But right now, we are going to take questions on this is getting your needs met. Okie doke. Go ahead, Ilana. What's the first question?
Okay. So the first question is from Chaya, who says, I can relate to your story, the whole story you told about the dishes and everything. I think a lot of us can relate to that one. And she said, how did you realize what you were missing and needing in that moment?
Oh, that's a good idea. The truth was, I actually, in that moment, I was feeling annoying. This had been something I had been working on for quite some time, understanding who I am. The Mesilas Yesharim, all of the Musar masters all talk about introspection and knowing yourself and knowing what your needs are, knowing what you tick, what you're good at, what you need to work on. They all talk about that. But one of the main things they talk about is introspection of, a lot of women just mavacher themselves. That it's so crucial to mavacher, to let go and forgive, and you will always win. Kolodetsky says that if you mavacher, you will always win. So we work on forgiving and giving in and going their way, and that's wonderful, and we should continue to do that. But sometimes we do it to our own detriment. We don't realize we're trampling on ourselves. I remember one time, I really just wanted a relaxing day, and my husband was like, let's go do this. And I pushed myself. And then the whole day I kind of had this resentment of whatever, where if I had been honest, I might've still gone, but at least I would have said, I really wanted just to relax. We were kind of on a vacation. I wanted to just do nothing. Hello, and when we're not true to ourselves, it's not like we aren't wanting to be giving to our husbands, because and sometimes you would do that anyhow. But knowing yourself, at least if I'd thrown that into the mix, and he was like, oh, I'll be fine staying home, or oh, how about instead of going out the whole day, let's just go to this one thing that I want to do, and then we'll come back and then we'll hang out, or something like that. But without you want to mavater, you want to give in, you want to make someone else happy. That's very important. But if you don't know yourself and you're constantly just making yourself a doormat, and every doormat has a welcome sign on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you're making yourself a doormat all the time, it's going to wear thin and you're going to have resentments and whatever. So this exercise helps you to understand your own true needs. And I didn't answer the question. The question, hello, no, the question is, how did I know in that moment? I think it was something that I had been working on deeply for a while, and it just all came together in that moment. I remember sitting there. It's funny. I can remember what I was seeing out the window from back then. Just this feeling of this isn't going this is not how I wanted the night to go. And leaving dishes in the sink would have been way preferable. And leaving dishes in the sink and having quality time with my husband was what I really needed. And having him equally do everything with me together, whatever, it wasn't really a true need. It was a want, so that's the separation. Good question. Okay, go ahead, Alana.
Okay, great. So our next question is from Esty, and she says, does this mean that I won't be getting my wants fulfilled anymore?
Yes. No. Good question. So the issue is that first of all, getting your wants is kind of like the frosting. You want, or the dessert. You want the steak and the pilaf. That's rice. I don't know. The steak and the rice and the corn on the cob and the, salad to be absolutely delicious. And then, the dessert, maybe the dessert is more important. Well, and whatever. The point I'm making is that the core of a woman's happiness is dependent on if just a few of her needs are met. We think we have these huge, so many wants. And if we got everything we want, you ever notice you get a brand new thing, like you got a new car, and you're so thrilled you're driving down the street and actually the bumper, the clicker of whatever works, the windows work, because it's a new car or newish to you or new to you or whatever. And that lasts about a week. And a week later, you're like, oh, that car over there is much prettier. So it's just, that's the way human beings are. We have unlimited amounts of wants. And if we just are chasing our whole life after wants, we're never going to be satisfied. Whereas if we understand and do the work to understand what our needs are, a woman can have her three top needs met, and she can get 0 of her wants met, and she'll still be happy and content with her life. Those just become nice extras rather than something she has. Women spend a lot of time trying to fill their needs with wants. So they're this and they want that, and they keep getting all this stuff, physical and emotional, even, it doesn't have to just be material stuff. And they're busy trying to satisfy this deep hole they have inside of getting their needs met. And once their needs are met, all the other stuff, be nice to have a new set of dishes. I know I've had the other ones for 30 years. I'd love to have a nice, trendy colors. My old ones have all the different thing or whatever. I want the new, if I don't get them, I could care less. I've got my needs met. So it's very, very important for a woman to understand her needs. And then if she gets her wants met, it's an extra. That's where we're heading. That's the beauty of following our Masorah, is understanding this and getting your needs met will make a lot of the stuff that you're frustrated that you don't have not be less important to you. It's good. Okay, go ahead, Alana.
Okay, this next one is from Ora, and she says, can I change one of my innate needs? I'm a little bit ashamed about it.
Can you change an innate need? It's a good question. I know that women's needs change over time. When a woman is just, married before she has kids, she has certain emotional needs and wants to be time with her husband and and then maybe after the kids are born, she needs reassurance that she's a good mother. People's needs change over time. So I don't, maybe if you could ask her, what was her name?
Ora.
Ora, if you could write in what the need is, it'll be anonymous, just so we know what kind of thing you're talking about, because if you're a little ashamed of it, I can't imagine a need. I had a woman who she had when she was doing this exercise, she had panic attacks, every once in a while, a few times a year, we like, mini panic. She called them mini panics attacks. I don't know. I'm not a judge of it. I'm not an expert at it. But what she realized is, she was telling her husband to do that she wanted flowers or whatever. What she realized that was a want because her sister-in-law got them. But what was really, really her deep need was when she was having a panic attack, to have her husband drop everything on either in person or on the phone and be there for her. And he was thrilled that he didn't have to do the dishes anymore or get her Shabbos flowers anymore, whatever it was, the thing that she was, the want that she traded for a need. And then she had that need met, which lessened the amount of panic attacks she had, she told me, because now, in other words, apparently the anxiety would build up and she'd get, oh, I'm going to have one and, whatever. And that makes it worse. Whereas my husband's there for me. It calmed her down a lot. So that was her deep need. And it's really, maybe that's an embarrassing thing, but it helped a lot in their marriage for her to understand really, really what she deeply needed. And that was done purely from doing this exercise, from doing this workbook. I actually used to make everybody do it right while I watched them, because if I said, oh, go take this home, they'd never show their face with the notebook. So I used to sit there and, take about 20 minutes in class while they wrote them down. Anyhow, okay, good question. Okay.
Can you come to my house, please, and sit and watch me?
There you go. Hello. Right, there you go. Did Aura answer back what her thing was?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so let her do that. Well, meanwhile, go to the next question.
Okay, so this next one's from Ricky. And she says, I don't have so many needs, but my husband does. He's very needy. How do I communicate to him in a productive and positive way that his neediness is not healthy for our relationship?
Fantastic question. So just so you know, his neediness is the reason you were put on the planet. I'm going to repeat that. His neediness and him being needy, it's not that it's not good for your relationship. It's what your whole job in life is to take care of what those needs are. It's very, very clear from our Masorah. And I have to say, this is going to come out wrong. You're going to think I'm blaming the victim by telling you this. His neediness, and he's needy and needy and needy and needy until that's somehow figured out by you on how to meet those needs, even if they're irrational and annoying and whatever. That will lessen his neediness. So I'm not saying you're the cause of his neediness. He had this from whatever his childhood is, whatever his dysfunctional patterns may be, who knows where it came from. Ultimately, we have to deeply, as wives, we have to understand, ultimately, God created him exactly that way to bring out the best in us. And rather than being frustrated at the roles we're put into, embracing them, and recognizing there's always something we can do. There's always a little tweak we can do on something that can improve the situation. That actually is empowering, rather than being a victim and feeling like, oh, my husband's like this. How do I stop him from being like this? It's like, no, now we can say, okay, there's something I can do about that. So if that means sitting down and writing down what his needs are, and then brainstorming, maybe with a close friend or just yourself. It has to be, again, be careful on who you share things with. They'll think badly of your husband. You need to find somebody who will always take your husband's side on an argument, because that's going to really grow you the best. If you take someone who thinks, oh yeah, your husband's terrible, but besides it being lashon hara, it's not going to grow you into the best person you can be. But in any case, you write down, here's all his needs. Oh, he is so irrational. He needs me when he comes home, he needs me to tell him he's the greatest husband ever that walked the face of the earth. That's irrational. It's stupid. That's so needy, pathetic. I don't care what the opinion is you have of it. And maybe you're right. Give it to the guy. Give it to the guy and watch him cleave to you and get closer and closer to you each and every day, each and every moment. Give him what he needs. And if he's a needy person, I don't know why God put you together with a needy person. It's maybe a sign of, to bring you out, the best out in you. Maybe you can grow him to be less needy by satisfying his needs more, or maybe if you have good communication with him, talking about him, say, every day I'm not sure what the neediness is, but there's really no neediness that's out of bounds, because if our husband needs it, then it's our job to provide him with it and to make him feel loved and cherished for whoever he is and however he is. If it means you can't respect him, you got to work on that, because, respect is granted, never earned. And you're like, how can I respect somebody who's so needy? You got to love him for exactly who he is. And he might grow out of it. He may not grow out of it, but that's our job. And if it was just our job and tedious and onerous and whatever, okay, that's tough, but let's try do it anyhow. But that's not the case. When you meet his needs, you will get your need of feeling total connection and totally appreciated by your husband. There will be a closeness there that isn't there. Your closeness to your husband will grow by leaps and bounds, and enough that you can actually witness it. And that's just by being there for him. It was a very, very good question, powerful question. Okay, go ahead, Alana.
Okay, we have one from Fady. Practically speaking, I know what my needs are, but sometimes life gets in the way and I'm exhausted from daily routines. How do I keep my real needs in mind and not get lost in all my wants that come from me trying to cope with everything that's going on?
Excellent question. We are in the most frazzled generation since time began. It used to be in the olden days when you gave your kids a bath, you gave them a bath, and here you're washing their foot and you're washing their hand, whatever. Now you're giving your kids a bath. You're buying groceries on the thing. They're ordering dinner. A phone call, email comes in from somebody's knocking at the door. I mean, we're frazzled. It's like nuts. Okay, so I totally get that. So you have to do, what the Musar masters teach us, which is, Yerucham, making charts of ourselves and making, checklists and put Post-it notes, maybe inside somewhere where somebody won't see them. Maybe, you don't want your kids asking, why do you need to be comforted when you're needy? Whatever, you don't need you want to keep this to yourself. So, but the bottom line is that the more you understand your needs, the higher your chance of getting them met. And so you want to, keep them before your eyes. And it could be that, you have, before you go to bed, you have them on an index card upside facing down, or a pretty pink notebook or whatever. And before you go to bed every night, you open that notebook and you read what your needs are, and maybe some explanations like, don't forget, you have a deep need to have a connection every day with your husband, instead of two ships, I had frazzled and whatever, don't forget you have that need. If you haven't fulfilled that today, get out of bed, go find your husband and have a 5-minute conversation with him. So set yourself up for success. Make structures in your life, in your routine, that help you to strengthen your ability to understand your needs, to share your needs, and to get them met. It's if we take on the responsibility, instead of being mad at our husband that he's not meeting our needs. I always tell people, if I had 100 guys here and I would say, okay, raise your hand if your wife is happy with you right now. They're like, everyone's like looking at their feet, they're like, hello, right? So you have to understand that the way to have your husband say, yeah, my wife's happy with me, is that he fulfills your needs. That's what he's born for. That's what he wants more than anything in the world, is to give to you and to take care of you. But we're so busy throwing out our wants and our needs and this, and we're never satisfied with him. And he never gets the feeling of satisfaction that he's hitting the mark. So he gives up. He's apathetic. He's like, why should I even try? Right? The way to reawaken him this is you have clarity, and then you express your needs to him in a way that he can hear it, and let him off the hook on all the wants. Okay, go ahead, Alana. What's the next one?
Okay, this is a follow-up on Ricky's question about the needy husband. That if one of his needs is just so foreign to you that you can't wrap, how do you get to a point where you can really accept him and accept it and just get over yourself?
Ricky, tell me what it is. You're anonymous. Nobody knows who you are. I need to know what the need is. Good. Next question. Wait, you're on mute. Alana, we don't hear you. Okay.
Okay, so the next question is from, Leah.
Oh, from Alea? Alea to Alea. Okay, good.
And she says, I am very emotional and my husband is more intellectual, and it's hard for him to understand my language.
And so the question is,
So I guess the question is like how to communicate when she's such an emotional person and he's such an intellectual person that they're not connected.
100%. So by the way, BT dubs, God could have made men and women in any way, any fashion that he possibly could. Why did he make it for the majority of men are rational and the majority of women are emotional? There are crossovers and lesses and mores and whatever. And there's a big, broad generalization. And this is, politically incorrect. We're supposed to all be equal or whatever, but why would women want to be equal with men when we're superior? No, joking. Don't take my words out of context. Anyway, okay. So, but the point is that you have Hashem could have done whatever. He could have made us all both emotional, and then we'd understand each other. Or we'd have we're both intellectual, and we could have these big discussions about things from an intellectual standpoint. God did this on purpose because the closeness in a marriage comes from the connection between opposing forces and between, strange things that don't belong in the same room. One person's analyzing something very mathematically and the other person's saying, I don't feel right, doesn't feel good to me, whatever, like, hello, why would God do that? So he obviously had a rationale for it that, we can only guess at, but it is the emes that when you have the strength of the logic of the man, and you have the intuition and the emotions of the woman, that leads to the best possible outcomes in a lifetime. Our lives, the way our lives go and the way they, if it was all logical, we'd be over here and kind of off balance. If it was all emotional, we'd be kind of off balance over here. The way it's done is that it's going in a straight, it kind of brings us together. So that's my interpretation of why God might have done this. I don't understand God. It's above my pay scale. But it just will give you an insight that the bridging that gap, they say after 30, 40 years of marriage, a man becomes more understanding of the emotional side, that the woman sort of, softens him in that area. And the woman who starts out, as a young woman, very emotional, will grow towards her husband in logic. And again, these are generalizations. It might be different. You might be the logical, you might be an accountant in your family and your husband's a musician, so I don't know, I'm making up this stuff, but I'm just saying, but as a general rule, this is how we find, that's why a man learns Gemara, his brain, we have many sources of why a man is learning a little bit differently than a woman from a logical standpoint. So it's God obviously created it this way, and our job is to bridge that gap and to not force him to think the way we think and not have him, force us to think the way he thinks, but to have both meld together in a beautiful way that's going to give us the best direction. It's a good question. Okay, Alana.
Okay, we got an answer back about what the husband's need is that she just totally can't wrap her head around.
Okay, do we have a drum roll? Come on, da-da-da-da. Where's my little drum rolly thingy? Okay, whatever. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so she said that my husband works full time, and from the time he comes home from work till the time he goes to bed, he needs to be on a screen the entire time. Mm-hmm. And I just have a really hard time respecting that need and giving him that need.
I hear it. So if that's really, I don't know if it's a need or a want or a habit or, it's really hard to tell or hard to judge. And if that's his need and it conflicts with your need of needing to schmooze with him, I mean, is it just a judgment that you feel like he should be doing something else? That's not your business. If it's interfering with your needs from him, that is your business. You have a right to some kind of a compromise, like he spends 15 minutes with you, or he spends 15 minutes off the screen. If it's only because you judge that as not, yeah, that's not the husband I want to marry. I want to marry somebody who is doing productive things, that he, you know, when he comes home from he eats dinner and then he goes and cleans the garage, and then the next day he mows the lawn, and the next, you know, like that. If that's just your judgment call, it's not your business. Much like, you know, you have your downtime. Hopefully, maybe does a mom ever have a down, or a wife ever have a downtime? I don't know. But anyway, you know, you've got your things that you know, maybe it's going shopping for clothes is your kind of like relaxing time, and shopping around, whatever. You have your things. If he came and said, oh no, you know, I don't want you shopping anymore, you know, get it online or whatever. You're like, no, I need to go wander the mall and see. I don't know, everyone has their own thing. It would be really inappropriate for him to come along and tell you how you could spend your downtime. Same thing here. This is not your business. Now, if it's not just you have a judgment about it, but you have needs, then you can, you know, you come to him, have a heart-to-heart conversation. Make sure it's not in the middle of a fight. Make sure it's not when he hasn't eaten and you haven't eaten, and you haven't slept and he hasn't. You know, make sure you're well rested and have a heart-to-heart with him and say, you know, I just want to talk. You know, every night I know you need your downtime on the computer, on the screen. I get it. But I also I love you. You're my husband and I want to spend time with you. Is it okay? Well, after I get the kids to bed and everyone's down by 8 o'clock or 8:30 or 9:30, depends if you're teenagers, whatever, you know, can we block out 15 minutes or a half an hour where we'll either go for a walk or we'll sit and have tea together, or we'll just tell each other about each other's day, something. You make some kind of compromise, and then don't say, this is what I need. Say, you know, would it be possible? Would it be possible for this to happen? You know, I really, you know, I just have a need to be closer to you, and I love you, and I want to take care of you. And then you can go and have your own time on the screen, whatever you need to do, but at least I'll have had my needs met. Would that be possible? Okay, ladies, that's all we have time for today. And your homework. Don't forget, go buy yourself a beautiful notebook or any scrap paper you have, or just type it into your computer and write down everything you ever wanted. Make it a huge, long list. Keep adding to it, make a big, long list. And then then you go back. That's the first part. Second part is to circle needs and cross out wants. And that's a process. And in the next show, we're going to talk about how to prioritize that. See you then.